Frankenstein, a novel loved by many. But do readers believe that Victor's creation is a human or a monster? Victor calls him a wretch, miserable monster, so he clearly believes that the creature is a monster. But by the end of the novel, the creature is actually more human. And before we can say that he is a human, we have to understand what a human is. Once we figure that out, we can then carry on proving that he is not a monster, or more monster than human. So what makes a human human? Well, philosophers like Aristotle, David Hume, Thomas Reid, and Martin Heidegger believe that they have the answer to that question. So let's dive into those answers. Aristotle, the old Greek guy, he said that man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Society is something that precedes the individual. Anyone who either cannot lead the common life or is so self-sufficient not to need to and therefore does not partake of society is either a beast or a god. What he means is that to be human is to strive for companionship. And what does a creature want and wish for? Companionship. He says to Victor, "You must provide a female for me." And he also longed to be with the De Lacy family. David Hume, a Scottish philosopher. He believed that reason is and ought only to be the slave of the passions. Well, he is saying that to be human is to feel passion. And the creature does feel passion. One passion that he feels is rage. He feels rage when he is deprived of all human and social life. And he feels rage when Victor refuses to create a companion for him. When the creature saw that Victor tore apart his female creature, he let out, quote, a howl of devilish despair and revenge. That passion makes him human. And now, another Scottish philosopher, Thomas Reid. He states that a definition is nothing else but an explication of the meaning of a word by words whose meaning is already known. Hence it is evident that every word cannot be defined, for the definition must consist of words, and there could be no definition if there were not words previously understood without the definition. How does this apply to being a human? Well, we are capable of understanding a language, and we can use that to express emotion instead of only using our behavior. The creature was given books, and he was able to read them. He was also taught how to speak by watching the De Lacy family teach a woman, Sophie, how to speak their language. When he caught up with Victor, he begins with, "I expected this reception," and then he proceeds to tell his story fluently in Victor's language. So he was capable of speaking a language, and he did not have to express his emotions only through behavior. And then there's Martin Heidegger, a German philosopher. He states that if I take death into my life, acknowledge it and face it squarely, I will free myself from the anxiety of death in the life, acknowledge it, and only then will I be free to become myself. Meaning that if you're a human, then you acknowledge and contemplate mortality. Throughout the novel, the creature wishes that he were dead, and that he wishes to kill himself. He says, "I shall correct my funeral pile, and consume to ashes my miserable frame." He also understands death because he views death as a time and place to finally rest. But then some might ask, what about when he does this, or this? Well, let's go over those thises. The creature killed 3 people, which is a huge reason why, as to why some people might not see him as human. When William mentioned the name Frankenstein, the creature exclaims, "Frankenstein, you belong to my enemy." He is then overcome by rage, and he acts on it and kills William. And he is one of his 3 victims. A quote from the Stoics states that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to evoke at any moment. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which arm you today against the present. Which means that if you are human, then you have the ability to reason over your emotions. So, based on that quote, the creature is not human. But here's the thing. There are other characters in the book that also show that quality. They do not act based on their reasoning, but based on their emotion, and they are still considered a human. One of those characters is Victor. He disregards his health while he is creating the creature. Victor says that sometimes I grew alarmed at the wreck I perceived that I had become. He then later throws his life away to pursue the creature so that he can kill him. He doesn't use his mind to reason over those decisions, and he is following his heart. But Victor is still human, right? So, overall, there are many qualities that makes the creature a human, but there are also some that make him a monster. But doesn't that apply to everyone? And where do we draw the line? How many qualities do you need to be considered human, and how many do you need to be considered a monster? By the end of the novel, a conclusion can be made that the creature has enough human qualities to not be considered a monster.